welcome. And thank you, Leah, so much for joining us to have these election conversations. So I'm going to start right away by asking you, my first question is, how will your party address the climate crisis?
Good question. We're going to address it rigorously and quickly, Marge. I mean, things have really, hit a point now with the wildfires and the flooding on top of everything else we've seen where there's an urgency. And I think we've learned from dealing with the pandemic how we can respond quickly and effectively. So we have so many policies already in place. Of course, our priority over the last year and a half has been COVID. But as soon as we're through COVID, and we've been working on it the whole time, don't get me wrong, but we'll continue on with a lot of the programs we have in place. Right now with the fire, with the heat waves and the heat domes, et cetera, we've made greater commitments to train and put other people out there to help fight those fires. But we have to get to the root causes. We did hit our initial targets for climate reduction, greenhouse gas reductions. We've set new higher ones and we're working on those. Really important. I think, planting trees and conserving our green space is so important. And we know in our area, we have, we're on the green belt, we have the Oak Ridges Moraine, those green spaces and the urban canopy that organizations like LEAF have been working on. And Richmond Hill has been doing a great job in trying to plant more trees. And the federal government is supporting that, right? A goal of 2 billion trees. So we're working on that. There's just so many things, electric vehicle subsidies and the new subsidies for homeowners so that they can retrofit their homes. So much of our emissions are coming from our homes and our small businesses. And in conjunction with that, we have funding now to train young people to go in to work with the businesses and homes, creating green jobs and helping people figure out what is the most effective way to reduce my greenhouse gases, and then using the federal subsidies or other financing mechanisms to put those in place. So we're doing a lot, I think, at many levels.
Okay, thank you for that response. The next question, what will your party do to assist the vulnerable in our society?
Again, it's multifaceted, Marge. We've seen so much through COVID-19, and when you talk about the vulnerable, I'd say our seniors, especially our seniors in long-term care homes, come to top of mind. And our government responded, obviously, by bringing in people to help during that pandemic, by giving greater funding to the provinces to improve conditions in the homes. We've committed to another $9 billion in funding for long-term care homes, which we will be using, obviously, to build new spaces. But on top of that, we're looking at trying to allow seniors to stay in their homes. I work with CHATS, as you may know, and organizations like that are getting funding from our government to work with our seniors and to make sure we've got good home care programs. We're doubling the home accessibility tax credit so that seniors who have to make changes to their homes so that they can stay can do that and it could be more affordable. Personal support workers, a huge part of our care for the elderly. We've increased the minimum wage to $25. And even with our healthcare system, right? We need more doctors and nurses, and we've pledged to get another 7,500 doctors and nurses and ensure that everyone has a family doctor. So all that will help. But then we've got homelessness, Marge, huge issue, affordable housing and homelessness. And you know that we have so many people doing great work in our area. Clovis Grant with, the young people, Michael Braithwaite, places like Sandgate and Yellow Brick House. And I know all of them have been receiving money from our government, especially through the pandemic, to address the short-term needs. And we are committed to, reducing, I think our commitment is by 2027, cutting chronic homelessness in half. But that will also be addressed with the new mental health supports as well. I don't have to tell you, you know how multifaceted this issue is, but we really get to the root causes. And I think, again, things like our childcare program, right? That's going to help so many people. The Canada Child Benefit and the childcare program, that all helps our, middle class and lower income families to ensure that they have more money to pay for housing. And then last thing would be the housing policy. Again, when it comes to homelessness, we have to increase supply, especially affordable housing and rental housing. We have committed, to build new houses on the supply side, and also through the Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation to help fund more rental buildings. Those are really important in our region because housing prices have just gone out of control.
Yeah.
And it's affecting a lot of people.
Thank you for that. Okay. Third question. How will your party address the issue of the very rich not paying their fair share in taxes?
Yeah, it's a major issue, Marj. And I think, when the Liberals first came into office, we increased taxes on the highest tax brackets and decreased them on the middle class. I think one of the big two or three other major initiatives right now are making sure that the loopholes in our tax system are closed. I think that's a very big one, and also tax avoidance. So increasing audits, making sure that the Canada Revenue Agency has the person power and the ability to audit and make sure that there's compliance. We can raise so much money, and we can help address this issue just through increased compliance. And it's really a big thing. As you know, Chrystia Freeland is a champion of this, right? Her book, The Plutocrats, if you read that, and I know our government has been working hard on ensuring that we have an equitable and progressive tax system. And that includes taxing some of these large digital multinationals that don't pay taxes here right now. We have to ensure that, the burden can't be on Canadian residents and small businesses. It's everyone who benefits from Canada. And then we've got the luxury surtax right now. I think during COVID, it's very important. We need new tax revenues. So that 10% on luxury goods is also important. And then in the tax, again, with taxes, two other things. One is the Canada Child Benefit, which in effect reduces taxes for middle-class families, as well as the new Canada Workers Benefit, which is a refundable tax credit that helps people, especially those earning minimum wage. I mean, in my mind, it's criminal that people who are working a full-time job can't support themselves and their families. And so this Canada Workers Benefit encourages people to stay in the workforce if they have an entry-level job, to be able to get this tax credit, which will help bring their income up to the median, which is what we define as the poverty level, depending on whether it's a family of 2, 4, 6, so that they continue working but can feed and clothe their families and hopefully pay for an apartment. And I think those are all really important initiatives to make our tax system more equitable.
Very good. Okay, fourth question. How would you like to see Indigenous peoples represented in our society?
Well, I'd like to, first of all, see more representation of Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. I think we've established a nation-to-nation relationship. And I think this Liberal government is working hard to ensure that our Indigenous communities are at the table. When you look at things like the Truth and Reconciliation Report, Marj, or the report on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, both of those reports were done in collaboration, in conjunction with our First Nations, Métis and Inuit people, to ensure that we knew what was needed and what was wanted there. When you look at things like eliminating the boiled water advisories, we are working hand in hand. And we have lifted 109 now of those advisories, of those water advisories. There are 32 further Indigenous communities that we're working with to lift them, but we are working hand in hand. The money's there, but it's up to these different communities to decide when to lift it and what kind of system they want and who to train. So it's ongoing, but we need more representation. And I personally think the appointment of our new Governor General is fantastic. We need women like Mary Simon in leadership positions, and we need to ensure, I think the only women premier in the country right now, we used to have 6, we're down to 1, is an Inuit woman as well. So we need to ensure, and we have to make sure that our institutions are more welcoming and friendlier for people from every walk of life in Canada. So when they come to Ottawa or they get in positions of power, they stay and they feel like they belong and their voices are heard. And I think we have a lot of work to do there. So I know our government is actively engaged in it. And for me, it's a very important issue, and I will certainly be doing as much as I can.
Okay, thank you. Last question. This is your time to brag. What abilities do you bring to being a member of Parliament?
It's a good question, Marj. I think when I look at it and I think about it, I can pick out specific things in my background, but I think it's my overall upbringing and life experience, quite frankly. I was raised in a family where community and public service was and is the highest calling. You know, we grew up where helping other people and caring about your communities, and that's really where I start. The basis for me is being sure that our riding of Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill has the best local representation that I can possibly provide. So we have been going out into every community and talking to people from every walk of life and every organization we can to see what's happening and what do people want. And I'm doing that not only for the election, but I'm doing it to lay the groundwork to represent our communities. So I was raised with those values of being part of the community, making sure that our democracy is functioning. And then on top of that, you know, I had a successful business career. I worked very hard and hard work. I worked very hard all my life to be able to go to university at University of Toronto. I have a commerce degree from Trinity College. I then worked for a year to save some money so I could go to Harvard University and get my master's in public policy. I worked 3 part-time jobs when I was there because it was very expensive, as well as doing well while I was there. So I think I have the academic credentials. I think I've shown that I know how to work hard, and I have the values. And then on top of that, I've been a mother. I've helped raise 6 children in blended families. I have biological step adopted children. You know, I've been very involved in helping people in our healthcare system. I have elderly parents. So I think my overall life experience, Marj, is really what I would say, and not just my business background or degrees, although I think it's important because we need to have people in government that also understand economics, but are deeply rooted in social justice goals and making sure our country continues to grow in an equitable and green way so that we all have a future together. As our Prime Minister says, forward for everyone. And that's really what I want to do. And primarily my role will be forward for everyone in Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill, and then working hard with our government to make sure we move forward as well as a country.
Thank you for that, Leah. Now to the portion where I'm going to ask you 8 fun factoids. Just quick answers with a smile. Yep. Okay. Your favorite color?
Luckily, it's red, Marj. Liberal red and love, right? I love red.
Your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Actually, it's a sorbet, mango sorbet.
Okay. Have you ever driven a motorcycle?
Well, I haven't. I tried to drive it. I wasn't really very skilled. So I was a passenger, though I have been on a motorcycle.
Okay. Do you ever wear mismatched socks?
Never. I don't even like socks, but when I wear them, they match.
Okay. What's your favorite genre of music?
I call it coffee house. Kind of soft. Yeah. Classic.
Okay.
You know.
What type of car do you drive?
Well, I'm actually right now, I have a small electric car. It's a small Audi e-tron electric car. It's one of the tiny ones that I could find. And I'm also driving a Dodge Ram, believe it or not, right now, because we have a mobile office. And it is actually, we did that because of COVID and wanted to get out into communities. So it's a Dodge Ram chassis, and it's got a kind of little, you know, converted van thing with it.
Okay. Okay. What musical instruments, if any, can you play?
I can play the piano, and I'm sure at one point I could play the recorder, but I wouldn't, you know, do that.
Okay. Okay. And last, do you chew gum?
Very rarely. My father and my grandmother used to think it was terribly rude, but if I'm going out canvassing or I'm meeting somebody and I haven't had a chance to brush my teeth, I may have one, but more likely an Altoid or a mint.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for indulging in those silly questions. And thank you.
We need to laugh, Marj. We need to have things to have some levity about, right? So
we do
appreciate it.
So thank you again. Good luck with all this campaigning, and we'll see what happens on September 20th. Thank you.